I texted somebody I knew from the atheist movement, and I said, I'm in Sydney, drinks. And he said, no, thanks. And I said, why? And basically he's woke. And I said, well, wouldn't the best way to deal with that be to have a conversation? And I'll never forget this. He said, ordinarily, yes. And then gave an explanation. But just think about that. Like, ordinarily, yes. In other words, yeah, with, reasonable people. Yeah, but
you're that bad.
Yeah, there's something particularly heinous about the beliefs in which I advocate. Really, like not wanting children to have their genitals mutilated until they're 18, and then you can have them mutilated all you want. Not allowing men into women's prisons. We were repeatedly told that wanting to treat people not equitably but equally on the basis of skin color or race or any other or perceived race or any other immutable.
By the way, your position being the moderate and classical liberal position, I know there are some people in the conservative movement I know that have been disagreeing with your positions, calling your positions too left wing on the topic.
I get that a lot. Yeah, correct. Yeah, even a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, we could go into right wing criticisms of that, but so you mean to tell me that there's something so odious in those beliefs that you can't have a conversation with someone who's been in your house, slept in your house, taken you out to dinner. They took me out to dinner, hung out with you for countless hours, done events together. There's something so toxic in that bundle of beliefs, or maybe it's something else. Treating people. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's the other thing about this. This is so divisive. And one thing that I hear, and I've talked to other people that they hear over and over again, is that a common thread among people who believe this or who participate in the ideology is that they genuinely believe that they're on the right side of history. Excuse me. And they'll say, well, you're on the wrong side of history. Well, I mean, already I try to avoid those claims of who's on the right side of history. I'll let history adjudicate that. But already the tide has turned on the trans ideology, a gender ideology that I've been screaming about since 2013 with the Tavistock Clinic. Andrew Doyle writes about some great stuff in his book, The New Puritans. Other people have written about this stuff. So there is a kind of, again, hubris, like the hubris of folks who know what God wants you to do. They know, they have some kind of immediate speaking to God, speaks to them. They know exactly what God wants you to do, and they're in possession of that knowledge. Similarly, the people who claim that they're on the right side of history and everybody else is on the wrong side of history. There's a kind of just an appalling arrogance, a hubris, but it's not just a hubris, it's a sickening hubris because it taints or corrupts what would otherwise be noble and decent, like a friendship of virtue, a relationship. There's something just so toxic about the ideology. And again, I was the one who proposed having a conversation with him.
Yeah. I can speak from my perspective. The same situation has happened to me. The same situation has happened to all of our colleagues who have not adopted this new religion from the atheist community. I posted a video with a simple claim that I think the Covington kids in 2019, that they weren't trying to harass the Black Israelites nor any other party in near the Washington Memorial, the Lincoln Memorial, at the Washington Mall. I lost around 200 friends, local, state, and national leaders from the atheist movement, for simply making that thread. Similar threads have earned me the same thing. And I remember having thousands of additional friends from the community, losing them over the course of between like 2016 to 2019, all because I don't agree with social justice warrior culture, all because I don't adopt the religion of critical social justice.
Yeah, like being an elect in Calvinism.
Yeah.
That you need to develop a kind of critical consciousness by which you can understand these phenomena. But has anybody who has actually developed this critical consciousness come back who still holds some of the beliefs? I mean, we know that people have been, and I just heard, I think it's from Pascal Boyer. I just hear this over and over again. It's just not true. Just heard it on the Trigonometry Guys podcast, who are friends of mine. Right. You can't talk people out of a belief that they haven't been talked into. Or they haven't. You can't reason people out of belief. That's just simply not true. I mean, it's just literally a mountain of data. I mean, anecdotal data, research data. But one of the things that I find interesting about this is there people who participate in the ideology somewhat who would ever come back to you at any point and say, you know what, I've been thinking about this, I've been looking at evidence and data, and I was wrong about this.
Right.
Or, you know, I'm sorry I treated you like, I'm not going to swear because this is a live stream, but excrement. I'm sorry I treated you like excrement. Has anybody come back and said, not to my kid, never to me. It's always that we're on the right side of history. And again, that's just my friend from Australia. I've lost some really good friends about this, but none of those people have been in my house, people I consider my friends. None of those people, they share a single commonality. And that commonality is that they're unwilling to engage you. They're unwilling to sit down with you and have a conversation with you. And there are many reasons for this. My speculation is that they know at somewhere inside them, they know they do not have sufficient evidence and argument to justify their position.
Yeah.
And it's either fear of, if they would do that, then they would have a very difficult time explaining themselves and would have to give up the belief or repudiate the belief or say they don't know, which would in turn make them a bad person, or they feel that they would not be a good person. So,
and then they'd be out of the woke network too. They'd be excommunicated from the atheist community.
They would be excommunicated, correct?
Yeah.